Today, I've got one of the fastest guests on the planet, at least in India for sure. Narain Karthikeyan, thanks very much for joining this.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's been quite a while we've been trying to get you, but you've been a little out of reach. But finally, we've managed to catch you because you've slowed down to probably 0 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've all slowed down to 0 kilometers an hour.
It's amazing. What a thing to have happened in our lifetimes now.
You have to pinch yourself to believe that, the world has come to a standstill in 3 months flat.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, hopefully this will never happen again, and we should be able to get out of it quickly as well.
It better not. I'm sure you're like itching to I need to get back out there and do what I do best.
Yeah, my 5-year-old son has never seen me this much, and he's asking me when I'm going to get out of the house. I think he's a little bit fed up with me being around so much.
Yeah, I believe you're talking to us out of Coimbatore, right?
Yeah, yes.
What's it like over the situation? Is it fairly okay?
Yeah, we're limping back to normal. We have, I think 33% with the workforce offices have started. So
excellent.
Yeah, we've at this point of time, Coimbatore has 0 cases of COVID-19, which is.
Oh, that's great! Congratulations on that. Bombay still has a long way to go. So yeah,
Mumbai is unfortunately hit quite badly, and
yeah, I know, man. I know what to do, but you've got to live with it. So, what's been happening in these 2 months of solitude and isolation with you? What have you been up to?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Spending time with the family and all that is okay, fine. Everyone says that I've got to spend a lot of time with the family, but I think it's gone beyond that. I'm like, as you said earlier, I live in the life in the fast lane, and it's quite how can I say, quite disturbing to see put in a place for this long. It's been 27 years that I've been in Coimbatore for this long a period. So it's you adapt obviously, but it's not ideal. But what can I say?
It's amazing these racing games. How I mean they've reached such a level of realistic experience. With all the technicalities and everything that would be there inside a racing car. And have you been instrumental in being part of the development of any of these games?
Well, I've been doing a lot of sim work because last year I drove for Honda in the Japanese Super GT Championship. They have a proper simulator which is 90% of what you would experience in real life. But we use a sim to not improve your driving, more to set up the car, more to try out different setups and to see which direction is the right direction, and then we replicate that, correlate those data and on track, and see if we've gained anything in times in terms of pace. That's the main objective why we use the simulators. But the games here, I mean, it's nothing close to it, but it's fun because you're still competing with some random guy, and it's fun. Yeah.
It kind of does, it improves your virtual racing skills if nothing else.
Yeah, and trust me, all these guys are, they have all these little tricks on this, e-racing thing, and they're so quick. So you need to adapt, and it's fun of a different kind. It's a bit of a challenge as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's amazing to see the evolution that has happened over all this time. I mean, when you first stepped into a racing car, I can't even imagine what kind of an experience or what kind of an emotion that must have been for you.
Since my childhood, I've been exposed to a lot of motorsport because of my father, and coming from Coimbatore, as a young boy, those days in the 90s, early 90s, there were a lot of people who would prepare the cars and go and race it in Sholavaram or whatever. So I grew up in this kind of an environment, so it was kind of natural that I got into racing. From a very, very young age, I said I'd be India's first Formula 1 driver. That was my goal, and and it kind of happened. So
and you've done it amazingly well. So it's really fantastic. I mean, never in for India to have our own, and the first, it's a huge achievement and an honor as well. I mean, we've heard about all the great legends, international legends of the past, and we've always wondered what's it going to take for India to have our own racing legend, and here we have you, and
Yeah.
it still continues. You know what I'm saying? It is an inspiring thing, and it's an inspiring. So a lot of the people who I'm going to be speaking to are people who've absolutely done it, uh, just through the force of their own independent spirit. From the will to want to do something that nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, absolutely. The will to succeed was so high for me, and I said, no matter what, no matter how difficult it's going to be, because for an Indian to get into the sport is quite rare, and imagine this 25 years ago,
Yeah,
for some
no
kid to
no
you know
support, no any kind of no schools to go to in India at least. So yeah.
yeah, it was there's certainly not a walk in the park. It was very, very tough in the beginning, but then I had some good results in England, in Formula 3 racing, and then my sport unfortunately is very expensive from the equipment and so on and so forth. So I had the support of the Tata Group, which helped me a great deal, and I continue working with them to this day, developing their road cars. So it's been a long partnership with them as well.
I mean, NASCAR, A1, everything. You've done everything. What's left? You know.
I mean, I've done all sorts of racing, and at its highest level, and Formula One, NASCAR, A1 GP, Super GT, you name it, I've done it. Raced all over the world. I've had reasonably successful races as well. So it's. I mean, I have to thank my parents, like you said. Imagine 25 years ago, somebody saying, "I want to be a Formula One driver," and they say, "Yeah, chase your dream." It's never going to happen. It's a almost impossible thing.
No, I mean, so that's one of the things is to talk to people who've made an impossible dream come true. Whether it's for yourself or by doing it for yourself, you're also doing it to bring a lot of fame and prestige to the environment that we've lived in as well. Also, which is to an environment that infrastructure.
Exactly. It's that you're doing it for the motorsport fraternity,
Yes.
and
And
once
you're building it after that. So it's all your leadership and your pioneerism.
once you've done it, now there are a couple of other kids who are quite good now. So hopefully we'll see more Indians in the world stage of motorsport.
Yeah, and you made it happen for them as well also. So that's great. But tell me, when you know they made a lot of racing movies, and they try and put the camera with the actors in the racing seat to give the viewer a sense of what the driver is going through. And I mean, probably, do you think they get it right most of the time, or it's nothing like what they show on the movies?
I mean, unless you really do it in real life, you never get the sense of what.
The most, for instance,
Yeah, of course. There are movies like Rush.
Ford versus Ferrari. Yeah.
Yeah, all of them are based on real life, and Rush, especially in those days, racing was much more dangerous than what it is right now.
I mean,
So yeah, yeah, guys. And it was I think Rush was the era when James Hunt and Niki Lauda, they fought over the world championship. That's when it got really popular on TV.
I mean, you've done the Le Mans. I mean, it's 24 hours of non-stop racing. I mean, what is that like? I mean, the closest is a couple of films that have been made in the past. One was a recent one, Ford versus Ferrari. But you've been in the seat for 24 hours driving those laps. What kind of resilience does one need to do that?
I mean, yes, of course. Challenges are different from what it was then, what it is now. The cars are so fast right now. You're doing nearly 350 kilometers an hour all the time. In Le Mans for 24 hours. Of course, you have two other drivers, but still, it's a high level of concentration, and lap after lap, you need to put in your consistency and also save the car through the race. It's quite a big challenge. And the weather conditions keep changing, and inevitably it rains at some point. There's a lot of spray in the air, visibility is low, hundreds of things like this. So Le Mans is a huge challenge, and I didn't particularly enjoy the race, but it's nevertheless one of the toughest races I've ever done.
An experience, isn't it? I mean, it's not the race as much as it's an experience as a race car driver, you know.
Yes, absolutely. You have a lot of you have like 300,000 spectators through the night, and they're cheering you on, and everybody's having a good time. And then you see a car hit the wall at whatever 200 kilometers an hour, and it's the excitement, it's the thrill, it's the fear. It all kind of combines into a great package, I suppose.
Yeah, and what I was saying was one of the biggest fears that, I mean, which is a logical fear that any race car driver has, is the fear of crashing, and that's happened to you once. So how did you come out of that? How did you deal with it? What happens when you're in the middle of it?
I think most racing drivers are fearless. You have to be, because the nature of the sport.
No, when it's happening to you, and like, yeah.
When it's happening to you, you just shut your eyes and wait for the big thud, and after which hopefully you're okay. But I think my era of drivers, I've seen a couple of fatalities. Of course, in 2014 was the last death in Formula One, Jules Bianchi,
Yes.
and but you have to be really unlucky to get yourself killed in the sport right now, because it's extremely safe. But nevertheless, when it happens, and when you get back on the track, you don't think about it too much. But then when you have all the time in the world, like what we have right now, and then when you think back on some of the incidents you had, then you count yourself very fortunate and lucky to be in one piece, to be honest.
Absolutely. I think that's the time you think, okay, now I should get another job.
Yes.
I should develop another skill.
Yeah, with this lockdown,
Well, yeah.
I would like to really keep my job after, because there needs to be some kind of again back driving would give us a lot in many things.
No, of course. I mean, there's no way that anybody is ever going to change what they do. We're all looking to get back to exactly what we've been doing, because.
But look, having said that, racing is going to suffer big time. A lot of manufacturers and
No, any
support for the sport itself.
Anything that's a spectator event, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's racing, whether it's music, whether it's going to the movies, anything that requires a large gathering of people is definitely going to suffer for the next 6 to 8 months. So this year is gone.
Yeah.
Effectively for
this year's finished.
It is absolutely gone. So yeah. No. So I mean, before you met your wife, you were racing as well, also, right? And then finally, I mean, when you guys decided to get married, and obviously your wife knew that this is what you do. You're going to be out there on the track 300 miles an hour, and being speed all the time. What's been her perception of what you do?
I think I think she was not prepared to kind of whatever you said, live life in the track. I think it was a big surprise, even though she knew me for a while. To adapt to what I do, it's not normal. It's not easy, for anyone. You see, people say you have a glamorous lifestyle, but you see the hotels, you see the airports and the racetracks, and you're back.
That's pretty much it.
You go to the next race. Yeah, not so exciting, honestly. But of course, it must be for me. Of course, I'm driving the car, so I love it. But for a companion, for a girlfriend, wife, whatever, traveling with you, it's extremely tough, man. It's risky as well, and she's very she keeps, I think, praying to all the gods, and to keep one safe, and it's difficult. It's not easy at all for them, to be honest.
Yeah, so tell me, was there ever a plan B?
There's never a plan B. I always thought I'd make it. I'd be a great racing driver. Here I am. No.
But okay,
I,
then if you were to have a plan B, what would it be?
sorry.
If you were to have a plan B, what would it be?
I don't know, something with speed, maybe a pilot or I don't know what, but something which excites and not a desk job for sure. No.
So it was always something to do with speed, huh?
Yeah, possibly because that's the way it was, and yeah, I can't imagine myself. I don't know, doing some boring job, going and to a textile mill or whatever, So
Listen, that's 80% of this country, so be careful what you say.
yeah, I know, but
No, I mean we
career choices, and I believed in myself. I do what I wanted to do,
yeah.
and I didn't have a plan B.
No, I've heard stories that you're a bit of a prankster.
I like to make, yeah, sure. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm kind of
Yeah. So what kind of atrocities have you brought upon your friends and colleagues?
a lot. I've done some pretty nasty things, but the classic one would be my friend in Bombay almost made him apologize to the entire all the passengers in an aircraft once. So because I was late. He was traveling with me, and I pointed out to him and said, you should apologize to all the passengers out here because you were late. And he was like, he was like shell shocked.
You turn the tables onto him.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
But give us another couple. Like maybe when you were traveling internationally, anything that you did with the people you were traveling with, or
So one of the Italian engineers played a prank on me, and we were traveling to Brazil, and I took he had unfortunately kept his passport, um, within my sight, so
uh-huh.
I had a field day with it, and so he went to the immigration, and his photos were completely, sketched out, and he looked more like a cartoon than anything else.
You drew like mustaches on his forehead.
Yeah, and he didn't know it for a long time who did it, So
Oh.
yeah,
Then
that was a bit
yeah.
scary as well because he was going to be thrown into quarantine facility there or whatever, So,
Well, you mentioned Brazil. Yeah, Brazil is a lot like India in many ways.
yes, absolutely, yes.
So I mean, what's the I mean, and Brazil likes its football, but what's the interest level, or what's the appreciation for racing in Brazil?
Brazil likes football, but motor racing is up there because they have had legends like Emerson Fittipaldi, Ayrton Senna, Nelson Piquet. They're all world champions, and it has a long, deep-rooted culture for motor racing, and they produced a lot of drivers over the years. And it's Senna's god out there, because he did a lot of things for the underprivileged children, and of course, being a world champion, is the regard he has now, even after 25 years after his death, is phenomenal.
No, I know there was a documentary that came out a few years ago called Senna, which was absolutely
Fantastic. Yeah,
fantastic.
that was made very well.
Like me, who's not really much of a racing enthusiast, or I don't really follow F1 or anything like that. And then when I see films like Ford versus Ferrari and Rush, and the documentaries that they make, it's like, I mean, for me, it's an education,
Yeah, yeah,
in, into a world that, I don't know anything about, and I don't know what it feels like because I'm not passionate about it as much as
exactly.
everybody else.
Yeah,
But it still is intriguing to me enough for it to hold my attention, and then sit back and wonder, like, wow, these people really, know what they're doing, and they really have such a passion and a drive for it. But is there anybody in the Indian racing right now, sir, an Indian colleague, anybody who's upcoming that you really like?
yeah.
And
I think both Jehan, who's from Mumbai, and Arjun Maini from Bangalore. They both quite talented, and I won't be surprised if one of them make it to Formula One because they, especially Jehan has the Red Bull backing right now, so maybe he has an opportunity, and he's quite very fast, in fact. So there is a possibility that we may have an Indian driver quite soon on the grid.
And you've seen Ford versus Ferrari, right?
Yes.
So there's that scene where, I think Shelby or Matt Damon takes the great grandson of Ford in a drive in his car. And if you were to take somebody in your car driving at 300 kilometers per hour, who would you?
I don't know. I love to scare many people. The list is long for sure.
Because I'd love to be one of them. Please add me to the list as well, also, just for the experience of being at that speed.
I did an event for Usha fans a couple of months ago, and they had all the distributors and everyone who we got an actual racing car, and we had these guest drives, for them to have a go with me in the racetrack. Most of them enjoyed it. Some of them were really scared, but then that was the enjoyable bit, to scare the living their heads out.
Yeah, I think at that speed and that gravitational pull, you can easily lose like a couple of kilos, right?
So there was a long queue of people, so I could do only one lap at a time with that individual. So most of them were like, most of them thought it was really cool, and some of them, of course, chickened out. But it's you have to be rather strong-willed to get onto a racing car and be driven by someone, and driving at 250 or whatever we did.
I mean, we get into planes so easily, which travel faster, but here we're on the ground. So that makes
the sense of speed and the experience is completely different too.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no pressurization and none of that stuff. So you're feeling the whole gravitational pull of everything.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's so exciting, man. That's so exciting. I mean, you're in a really, really lucky place. I mean, full respect to you for sticking with it, following it, and and being the really kind of down to earth guy that you are. Does it ever? I mean, how do you stay grounded? What keeps you grounded?
I think it's just normal. You need to be yourself, and it's nothing. I mean, I had the opportunity, and I took it with both hands, and I find I count myself very lucky to be doing what I'm doing. So that's the way I look at life, and it's easy to be grounded.
Have you had the opportunity to, let's say, move to another country with family and work from there, and you've chosen to stay back here in India?
I never wanted to do that because India has given me everything I have, and absolutely, I'm proud of being an Indian, and my helmet says it all. I have the tricolor on it, and very, very, proud to be an Indian for sure.
Oh well, that's really, really fantastic. Well, we could go on for longer, but I think it's been a fantastic conversation, Narain.
Thanks a lot
for taking out the time. You're a proud Indian, and we are more prouder of you than anything. So all power to you, and keep doing what you're doing. And I mean, we hope to see your son as well, also, and be equally well. So keep riding that bicycle as fast as you can in the house, and try not to break anything.
And I'll one day I'm going to take you on for a spin in one of these race cars for sure.
Well, absolutely. I'm gonna hunt you down. I'm gonna get your address.
Yeah.
The earth. And say, around Dilada, sir.
Actually, it's a lot of fun. You'll love it, to be honest. You're the kind of guy who'll like the moment.
Okay, thank you very much, Narain. See you soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
The Economic Times listening sessions with Luke Kenny, powered by Jack Daniels Merchandise.